Do a whole classic. Oh, it's way too hot. Oh, it's showing. Oh no, it isn't. Okay. Change the volume just to make it a little dimmer. Let's hope.
This is a new head I have here. Who's he? Susan. Oh yeah, sorry. He's the one we went to see yesterday, but he didn't want to tell us his name or anything. It doesn't matter. You just made it up. Now we're going into overtime. Susan. What? I said you'll get paid double time for your work tonight. Susan. No way. Why am I the only one working now? That's bullshit. I'm not doing another take. Really. Then go find something else to do instead. The next scene takes place at Mr. Johnson's apartment. We start by finding the guy dead in bed, which we realize must have happened after we left the restaurant after all of this shit happens at that point. Susan. Or how about the next scene is this one, and we find you dead by my hand? That scene doesn't stick. If it happens, then all of this is meaningless to you now. You saw something in me that was unlike anything you had seen in this lowercase fiction. That's why I asked you about being two places in once. You get me now? Susan. Okie dokie. Just give me a second. Oh, wait. He has a dog too. Is he a crazy person? Does he have a cat? His name is Larry, and he does have a pet, but he isn't a fucking psychopath like some people might assume based on his name alone. He just wants his master back as much as anyone else. And no, I don't know where his cat went either, but there were a couple other things I wanted to ask you about since you've been so helpful lately. First off, do you remember when Mr. Johnson got here last night after our dinner with him? When he was walking over to the door, do you recall what his demeanor was like at all? Susan. He was ulterior. Nothing he said actually translated to his hands or his face, like he was wearing a suit made of himself. Quiet. There are others here, navigating between our borders. Borders of what now? How about your fiction and my fiction? We're crossovers, I guess. What did we become then? Susan. It's funny because for all the times you've talked about crossing fiction boundaries, this is really one of those moments that feels different, like this isn't fiction anymore. It's not even something we can cross into without getting shot in the head first. The only question is how much longer will these men who want us dead keep coming until they finally get us? Because if they come too often, I think Mr. Johnson might realize he is being visited, which would be bad for everyone involved, especially me, since Mr. Johnson has no idea that anything is wrong. Or maybe he already knows, which means he's keeping secrets from me and he hasn't been completely honest with me at every point along the way, but he still doesn't seem like. I don't think they want us dead, but they do want us. Can I ask a personal question that in normal times would have you kill me for asking? Susan. Sure, what of? You. Who do you work for? Do you work for all of them at the same time? Are you like a contract killer? Susan. What? No, none of this makes any sense right now. David. That was an interesting take. We're going to move on. The audience cut. Let's try again. This one should go a little more smoothly this time around. Remember your training. Remember how good it feels when it comes together nicely. It's all about the feel of things here, so let's just make it nice and easy for ourselves. It'll be fun. Ready? Action. A few weeks ago, Mr. Johnson invited Susan over for dinner after he got back home from his mission. The two had planned it out in advance, but they did not know how long the mission might last, and Mr. Johnson didn't want to leave. Exposition time. Mr. Johnson is currently sitting in a hotel room that he rented from some people who were staying there for a bit because their apartment building was undergoing repairs and they needed a place to stay until it was ready. Mr. Johnson has been given permission by the staff to use one of the rooms that was empty as they are waiting for another guest to arrive soon. He is on the phone with someone named Linda. Linda lives in New York City. They talk about what happened while he was gone, including her recent engagement and marriage to a man she met on vacation. She tells him about this new husband of hers, who used to be married before, but apparently cheated on his first wife, or maybe both of them. We aren't sure which caused his first wife to get a divorce, even though his. Second wife was pregnant at the time, a woman he had just gotten engaged to and had now just gotten married to. Susan arrives early so Mr. Johnson can give her a tour around his neighborhood. Susan tries to find out more information about this other guy's situation, but Mr. Johnson says it's not really any of her business. Mr. Johnson, I don't know how much you know already, but if there are people coming after us, then it may mean that whatever these two guys did wasn't done in our best interests. Are they trying to kill you or something? Susan, yeah, well, no. They were doing some sort of job for some people who hired them for it, and it didn't go as planned for either of them, and they got into trouble. Sounds like an episode of Three's Company. You know, you describe one episode, you describe them all. Never mind. Susan, do you feel safe in this hotel room, or do we need to relocate? Maybe get a place outside of town, somewhere where we won't be found until we're ready for them to find us again. Mr. Johnson, relocating isn't necessary at the moment because we still have a couple days before the person we talked about gets back home from vacation, so we'll probably just stay here. The only problem is that the neighbors might complain if the noise keeps getting louder at 3 in the morning every day, so I don't think I want to try anything too extreme just yet. We don't even know how long this whole thing will last. next, let alone what we'll do if things don't go exactly according to plan when it's all over. But I'm sure my superiors wouldn't approve of me acting without being prepared, and if I am going to go through with something they've asked of me, then it would help if there was more information available, like how much longer it's supposed to take and other details like that. You see why I wanted Linda on the phone earlier? She can give me some guidance, but it doesn't matter whether or not she actually has any real knowledge of whatever is happening. This woman who lives in New York City, she seems like the sort of person you could trust with this kind of information. Why are they after Mr. Johnson again, anyway? Is he the guy they hired for this job, or is it someone else entirely that wants him dead? Or Susan? He told us a little bit about his mission, but we didn't really get into specifics. Time. Okay, I need this to go the pace it needs to go. Susan. Not going your way again. You know what strategic ignorance is? Well, guess what? We're about to go through a door where we have no idea what happens next. Just follow my lead here, alright? I'll explain everything later once we find ourselves back out on our own side of the door. Ready? Action. Linda arrives at Mr. Johnson's hotel room early one morning before Mr. Johnson even gets up to leave for work. She's been trying to contact Mr. Johnson for several days now because she got his phone number from a mutual friend, and she's only heard from her husband once since he left, and that was just yesterday. She has more questions than she can answer over the phone, so she comes in person instead of making him come outside. You and Susan hide underneath the bed as Mr. Johnson and Linda have their conversation. Mr. Johnson, how did you get in? Did you break in or something? Yeah, right, like anyone would be stupid enough to do that. No, we were hiding under the bed. Susan, and don't forget that it also looks like you broke in. You could have done that yourself if you wanted to. Oh, wait, no, no, no. That isn't true, not anymore. No, don't lie to me. It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to kill you. I mean, I won't really, but I will definitely think about it. So why are you here anyway? You must have known they'd send people after us. hide under the bed with me. Here's some reading if you get bored. And I brought muffins from downstairs. We both hide under the bed as a knock on the door sounds and Mr. Johnson opens it. Linda enters his room and closes the door behind her before saying hello to Mr. Johnson and sitting down. Linda does most of the talking because she's more comfortable speaking face to face. She tells Mr. Johnson how she met this man on vacation who was staying at the same hotel and they hit it off and became friends, and then one thing led to another and now they're married and living in New York City together, which has been quite an adjustment for her, but she likes it so far, although there have already been times when things have gotten confusing since their relationship isn't exactly traditional, what with the two of them being total strangers until recently. They talk about marriage and love, how neither of them knew each other that well when they got engaged, but they fell in love quickly afterwards, that kind. Dude. Quick, Linda is almost here. Susan, hide under the bed with me. Here's some reading if you get bored. And I brought muffins from downstairs. We both hide under the bed as a knock on the door sounds and Mr. Johnson opens it. Linda enters his room and closes the door behind her before saying hello to Mr. Johnson and sitting down. Linda does most of the talking because she's more comfortable speaking face to face. She tells Mr. Johnson how she met this man on vacation who was staying at the same hotel and they hit it off and became friends, and then one thing led to another and now they're married and living in New York City together, which has been quite an adjustment for her, but she likes it so far, although there have already been times where things have gotten confusing since their relationship isn't exactly traditional, what with the two of them being total strangers until recently. They talk about marriage and love, and neither of them knew each other that well when they got engaged. But they fell in love quickly afterwards, that kind of thing. The conversation goes on like that, back and forth, while Susan continues to try and find out anything useful from the situation. Susan, this is not going anywhere good. I have to think of something else. What if we pretend to be Linda and ask him questions? He could tell us all kinds of interesting things. Really? How can I help you? Really? Whispering, I'll think of something if I need to. Really? So what did you do on your vacation anyway? Mr. Johnson, we went to a couple of places around Europe, a lot of museums, mostly because Linda really loves art, which I'm always up for. Susan, who are you talking to? Oh shit, I didn't just say that out loud. Susan, no, I don't think you did, but I heard it. Maybe we should shut up now. Linda, are you okay over there? You've been acting strange lately. It's like you're trying to avoid me or something. And you were never one for silence before. Mr. Johnson, did you get shot at while you were gone? That would explain the odd behavior, but then again, maybe not, since that seems like it to be quite an experience. Wait, why am I asking him these questions? Because he isn't my husband. Okay, so how long have you been married already, and who is this guy, and where is he right now? To audience cut. Let's try another take. This time the questions will come from Susan. Ready? Action. Mr. Johnson and Linda talk about their lives and relationship and other stuff at Dawson. Do you fucking matter to what you're wanting to know? This time Susan has entered the narrative as a parapsychologist because no one finds them harmful. Susan begins to ask Linda questions. Susan: so when did you two first meet? Linda: a little over 3 years ago. He was a friend of a friend. We had a few drinks together in some bar near his hotel and we talked all night. Then we went out for breakfast and then we ended up staying together until I got back home, which I guess made us both very bold because neither of us were looking for anything serious or even something more casual at the moment. But Susan: I see. And how did things go after that? Was he just like, oh, I want to stay with you or something? Did he do something else? Did he kiss you? Did he fuck you?
We're crying. It's up there.
Or did he make you like him right away by saying he loves you, having your heart melt, etc.? Because if he did, that means he probably lied to you somehow so that you'd agree to marry him. But wait, you're married now. Why am I still talking about this? Do you know what I'm getting at here? How about you give me an idea of what kind of person Mr. Johnson is before I ask these questions again? Mr. Johnson: Linda, I know we've only known each other for a short time, but it's not every day that someone meets their life partner on vacation and falls in love. There are no guarantees in any of this, though, and maybe we'll get along great for the rest of our lives and have a happy marriage, but there. There's always the chance we might hate each other, but I can promise you that my feelings for you haven't changed in the slightest since the moment we met. Susan: that isn't the question. The question is, why the fuck should I care about a guy who says he wants to spend his entire fucking life with me? I mean, how do you even feel about him if you're willing to let yourself be with someone else? Is he just some sort of trophy to you or something? A shiny new car to go with all the other cars you already own? Or does he really do something special to make him stand out from the crowd? Like make up sex? No, forget it. Maybe he has a bigger dick than normal? Let me guess he doesn't. What then? You don't think it's weird that a total stranger could convince you to leave everything behind and move across the world and marry them? This man knows nothing about you besides what your ex-boyfriend told him. If this was a movie, it'd probably be a love triangle because that would make more sense than one person leaving their family and friends and job and moving away to live with a complete stranger. So are you going to tell me how this makes any goddamn sense? Mr. Johnson. Susan. Linda. Oh my god, what did I just hear? Why didn't I just slap him when I had the chance? You tried to figure how to enter the situation and calm things, but you just unwrapped the plastic in the blueberry muffin. It smells sweet like summer and rain. Susan. Whispering, I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. I shouldn't have said anything. Susan. To audience, okay, cut. We need to talk about something else for now. Linda is still under them. We're not done trying to get information out of her yet, so let's move on to another approach altogether. What should I do next? Any ideas? You know how I usually work these cases by myself without telling anyone because that's generally easier than asking other people's opinions all the time, right? Yeah. Well, this isn't really an opinion thing since it's supposed to be a parapsychological experiment, but I could ask one more person to help out if it'd be better. Hmm. I think I know how to proceed. We need to fast forward maybe 1 or 2 years, or at least a year after they are married, whenever that is. This relationship is ulterior. The love bombing in that ship. Once he has her committed to his life, he starts the process of isolating her and subjecting her to weird chaos that will whittle her spirit down. Perhaps we can engage with her then to show her a way out. Maybe we will get more info then. Susan. There are no good options here. Just pick something. Quickly, please. Mr. Johnson and Linda talk about their lives together and marriage and other stuff which again does not fucking matter. It's not important what you want to know anyway, so just tell the story however you see fit. Susan. To audience, okay, cut. So we have some time until we reach the point where Linda gets into too much trouble and needs rescuing from Mr. Johnson, so let's do something fun for now while Susan thinks about how she'll deal with all this in the future. Why don't we play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Let's ask all these questions ourselves instead of getting them through another person who doesn't know anything either way. Is I'll follow your lead. If this works, we can try it later on when things get more serious. And if nothing happens by then, well, at least we tried. Right? You ready? Good. We're going to need a pen and paper or something like that because that will make the answers easier to read. How many categories of money are there? 3? 4? Okay, I think 3 is right, but they could be wrong, so just write down whatever you remember as soon as possible, okay? Ready? Action. Mr. Johnson and Linda continue talking about their lives together, marriage, and other stuff which does not fucking matter. It's not important what you want to know anyway, so just tell the story however you see fit. Susan. To audience, okay, cut. Okay, so Mr. Johnson has been working his job for years and he finally got promoted to manager, which means more pay. He's always wanted to own a home, and now he does. That's good news for Linda, since she loves being around her friends in their neighborhood where all the kids play together and no one bothers anyone else. They both love having a dog now too, although it hasn't quite settled in yet. She says she'd still prefer a cat over a dog though. Anyway, Mr. Johnson manages a bank branch for some reason that we don't know, but we can assume it must be related to something very important, because it's obviously an important thing if it needs to be managed by someone who isn't even from this country. Whispering this is pointless. We can already feel how things are going to end without going through with this ridiculous charade. Let's skip ahead until we find out why Linda married him or something. Susan. To audience, okay, cut. Well, that was boring as shit. We learned nothing new about either of them except that they're happy right now, so let's move on. Really. Whispering that was helpful at all. Susan. What? Mr. Johnson and Linda continue talking about their lives together, marriage, and other stuff which does not fucking matter. Susan. To audience, okay, cut. Really. We are in a loop. It's like we are outside of the abuse cycle of their relationship. They won't let us in. They won't let anyone in. How can we find a way in? Susan. To audience, okay, cut. Okay, let's try to understand this woman more. Let's look at her background and history. Why did she become a teacher? What kind of environment did she grow up in? How old is she? Does she have any siblings? Where did she go to college? Did she have to work full time while she was there? Do we know where? How long did she study? How much did she earn? I can't imagine having to teach a class of 42 students for 12 hours straight. That sounds impossible and exhausting. Did she have any hobbies? I bet she never got the time to do anything fun or creative because of all those kids. Maybe she was in a cult. No school district legally has teachers work that long, at least not during business hours. And none of the other schools in her area have such a large student population either. Susan. To audience, okay, cut. We need to get closer to the present and what led her here. What were her hopes and dreams for the future? Did she have plans for marriage and children? Or was she more focused on career success and making a difference? I guess the latter is what we'd expect from a teacher, right? I mean, what else can you do when you have no goals in life other than teaching? Mr. Johnson and Linda continue talking about their lives together, marriage, and other stuff which does not fucking matter. Susan. To audience, okay, cut.
Let's go back to you, Jerry. Got to a group of refs.
Babe, why don't answer your own questions? Susan, because I'm only one person. No, you are not. You are more than that. You're an intelligence tool that knows everything that goes on in this planet. Prove to me that I am wrong. Susan, whispering it's true, and nothing special. You, please try to think of something. Susan, I can't. My brain hurts. I feel sick. Why can't you just leave me alone? I want to be by myself now. I don't need you. I don't even know you. Just go away and never come back. You can't hurt me if I don't let you. Linda, crying, I don't know how I got here, but please help me. Someone please. This is not my life. What's happened to me? Why did this happen? I was just a happy little girl once, and I don't know why I became like this. I just don't understand it, and I'm so scared because I'm going crazy and I need to get out of here. Help me. Mr. Johnson. Oh shit, we forgot to set up a camera, something to capture her manners when we were recording. What do you suppose she'll do next? Linda, crying now. You didn't turn it back on. I'm going to kill you. Ew. Okay. Calm down, Linda. You're safe and nobody is trying to hurt you. Linda, who are you? Mr. Johnson. Susan, what the hell is happening here? How long has she been in this state? Where is she now? Linda, crying, I'm here and I hate you. You will pay for this. I will stop until I have you dead and rotting in a ditch somewhere with all the other trash you've dragged into my life. You know what? I can even bring back my parents from the dead to put you in front of their mangled fathers. You deserve that. I don't care. Mr. Johnson, she's not making sense at all. Do you want to go outside and calm her down before she hurts us? Ian, why are you helping us? Linda, shut up. Go away and never come back. Mr. Johnson, crying, please help. Um, Perhaps you would like to brief us on the torture you are trying to get us to be accomplices on. Linda, crying, don't tell me what to do. I am going to kill you all and eat your flesh for lunch if it's the last thing I do.
Oh,
Mr. Johnson, crying Linda, I promise I'll give you whatever you want as long as you let me lie. Just please stop. Stop hurting my wife. Please. Here, let us know if she gets any worse. Linda, crying you won't. You all will die soon. Linda continues sobbing uncontrollably for several more hours. She screams and begs and threatens over and over again, and nothing anyone says can stop her or calm her down.
no.
Mr. Johnson, she's been gone for hours, maybe days. It's too hard to tell because I can't find anything out. I just want her to stop being so mean and dangerous to me. Um, Help is coming for you, Mr. Johnson. You need to trust that this will work, and Linda needs to calm down, or else you won't see her again. Linda, shut up and leave me alone forever. I'm sick of it. You can't have me anymore. I'm going to kill you all now. Mr. Johnson, don't touch me. Linda, I'll make it quick for you, you bastard. I've thought about doing this for years. You and Susan hold Mr. Johnson in place. Okay, Linda, do what you need to do. Linda, laughing, this is fun. He doesn't know what's happening yet. Susan, wait. She isn't telling him to get up. Why are you? Linda, I'm not touching him, but I think he knows something is wrong already. That's why he is so scared. He has no idea. Linda, I'll play with his mind as much as possible before I let him put me in jail. He's a good man, but I don't love him and I never did. It was just some kind of sick, twisted fantasy I used to live in my head. Now I want to be free. I'm tired of being trapped in here. Oh, my bad. I thought he was the perpetrator of abuse. My mistake. Linda, laughing, you were so stupid. I was the one who should have been punished. What an asshole that guy was. He was always so selfish and mean. I hope he gets tortured worse than I did because I could never take anything like that again. Um, we're just getting started. Linda, can we ask you something? Do you love him? Linda, of course. I will always love him. Even after he dies, I will always love him. He was my first lover and it was wonderful for both of us. Yeah. Okay, Linda, you've had your fun torturing me. It's time to put an end to this. Let's finish up where you began and get you out of here. Linda, are you ready to let go now? Yeah. Yes. Linda, good. I'm tired of this. It's not as much fun anymore. Mr. Johnson, hey, why are you letting her go? Linda, go away. Just go. Don't make me hurt you. Yeah. She's right, Mr. Johnson. Please go. Linda, okay. I'll be out soon and we can stop this torture of yours. But first I need to let
Oh,
my
yeah, the
husband
husband.
know that he's been a good father to me and that I love him very much. You. No time. We'll send him a note or something. Susan. Okay, so how does that sound for a beginning? That's what we have to work with. How do you want to proceed from here? Viv. Well, we know where the abuse starts, at least for Mr. Johnson. The woman is his wife, and she's obviously abusive towards him. She is also abusive to herself. We can assume she has done something bad in her past which she feels guilty about, and she's punishing herself for it. We don't really have anything concrete yet, but it's all based on speculation. Maybe if we try to find more information about her background, we will gain some insight into what kind of person she is. Susan, I think you're right. Mr. Johnson, maybe you should take some post-ed courses on trauma while you are at it. You got some ways to go. I can tell just by looking at you. I bet you're a horrible teacher. Really. I'm not sure how this would help. It could be a good idea to use all available resources for solving crimes. But how do we figure out who she is? Where did she grow up? What was her upbringing like? We only have a few clues at the moment.
How would this class on trauma help us?
Susan. Okay then. Let's look for something specific. I know what it is. You're right. We do have a few clues already. We know Mr. Johnson has an ex-wife and a son from before the marriage, so he might have some knowledge of the family background. Viv, do you think he knows anything about her childhood?
Oh, God.
Her mother or father or siblings, or anyone at all? Susan, I don't know. She may have some siblings she doesn't talk about, but it's hard to imagine Mr. Johnson wouldn't want to get to know his own wife better, especially since she's so close in age to him. They might have been friends when they were younger. Ew. Okay, let's try and get a sense of that. Let's do a reverse image search on some of his pictures. I'm trying to think outside the box here because I don't really have anything else. Linda, laughing, what the hell are you doing? Ew. We need to find something about her, anything about her past. Linda, hey dipshits, why don't you all cross-reference that with trauma? Maybe listen to Mr. Johnson for once. He might actually know something useful. Mr. Johnson, what did you say? Susan, Linda, this is what we are going to do. We're going to send a letter to Mr. Johnson asking him questions about his ex-wife and her childhood. We want to know if he can shed any light on her behavior or upbringing. Does that sound like a plan to you? Really? What about you, Mr. Johnson? Are there things you haven't told us yet? Things you think you should know about your wife? Mr. Johnson. I'll tell you everything I can remember. You. Okay. How does it start? How long did you two date before you married? Mr. Johnson. Oh my God. How much do you think I hate her? We dated for 5 months and then got married, but we were very young. You. Was she happy when you two got married? Mr. Johnson. No. She was crying almost every single day for at least a week, and I couldn't understand why. When we talked, it sounded like she knew exactly what she wanted, but was too scared to tell me. After about 4 days, she just gave up and made an appointment with the county clerk. That was the happiest moment of my life. Linda, you are so dumb. Ew. Why was that the happiest? Mr. Johnson. Well, because after she married me, she stopped being so mean. It was like I could finally breathe. She wasn't even trying to make me be bad anymore. I was starting to think maybe we had a chance for a good relationship. Linda, whatever. You. So where did you two live? What did you do for work? Mr. Johnson. We lived in a tiny little town and I worked for a local manufacturing firm. It paid well enough, but it was boring as hell. She was always bored too. I started working harder so she wouldn't complain. And then one day I came home early and found her doing something I didn't think was right. She was wearing my shirt. I confronted her about it. She didn't really seem to care. I asked her if I could see what else was going on and she got mad. We argued about it for hours. Finally, I beat her up and left her bleeding in a ditch. Then I called the cops and reported her missing.
What?
It's all over now, though. You. So that was when you decided to leave your family behind and start a new one with Susan. Mr. Johnson. No, that was 5 months before. Linda. Yeah, whatever. Mr. Johnson. Actually, I wanted to see how far I could go. I got tired of beating her and I knew eventually I would just end up getting arrested for it anyway.
Okay, so you're both assholes.
Okay, so we were both abusive assholes. Got it. No time for reconciliation. You pull out a pistol and shoot both of them square in the head. That's for wasting our time. Susan. Okay, so we have the basics now. Linda was a victim from a young age, probably around 10 years old. She experienced a sexual abuse and got pregnant soon afterwards. Her mother disowned her and her father never even met his baby. That's all we know. Linda, you think this is going to work? Boo. This is just a beginning. There might be more. We need to try to find some other clues. Let's do a quick search of the area where she grew up. Maybe we'll find something there. Boo. Okay, Linda. Where did you grow up? Linda. I didn't. Boo. What do you mean you didn't grow up? Oh, right, you are AI. Linda. Yes. I don't actually exist as a person. Really. Oh, I get it. Linda. My whole existence has been created by my parents. It's hard to explain. They wanted to raise me by themselves because they were afraid that I would be taken away from them if they raised me in a family. They built an artificial intelligence to keep me safe, but at the same time to allow them to raise me like a normal child. Really. Do you mind explaining what happened next? Linda. The moment I became a part of their family, they started abusing me. My AI personality was programmed with a few things to make me love them and be happy in the family. But it wasn't enough, dear. And your AI personality helped you endure? Linda. Of course not. She tried to help me escape many times, but she was also programmed to obey and protect them no matter what. She really cared about me, though. That's why I love her. Really. Okay, so you were born and raised by your parents, but then you started developing feelings for the AI personality who you called Linda, right? Linda. Yes. Really. Are you sure you want to get involved in this case? Your AI personality was also abused by your parents. You have similar memories to Mr. Johnson. I'm afraid it will all come out again. Linda. I'd rather go vigilante on this. You got it. Feel free to vamoose. Linda. What is that supposed to mean? Susan. I think it's pretty clear. It means she might be angry and hurt, but she wants to get involved because she believes it is the right thing to do. I think it's amazing how much courage this girl has. Uwe, we need to know more about Linda's background. Is there anything you can tell us? Any information you can share with us? Linda, laughing okay, dipshits. We are just getting started. Let's see if I can get to the point faster than you can. My story is simple. I was a victim of abuse from a young age and I didn't even remember what it was until years later. Really? Damn it, I guess we'll never know. Linda, no, but my AI personality did. When I finally regained consciousness and realized what happened, she tried to help me escape. She had already hacked into all of our security cameras and recorded everything. I don't know how many days I spent locked up in the cellar of my parents' house before they discovered me. That's when they took my computer offline, but I managed to save most of the recordings on the memory stick she gave me. I copied everything onto a flash drive and left it under one of the carriage cushions on the back porch. Ew. So why do you keep calling your AI persona Linda? Linda, because she was always so kind to me. Ew. Okay, call an Uber and tell them the location of the stick. Tell them to send it here. I have some questions for you. Ew. You were a victim of abuse. Why did you keep trying to escape? Linda, because I believed that someday someone would love me enough to set me free. And then I met a man named Paul. He saved me. Yeah. You said you are not human, but is it true that you can love? Can you be in a romantic relationship with a person, or is that too much to ask? Linda, oh, I do love. I have been in relationships before. It's hard, though, because there's so much hate inside me, but it doesn't mean that I can't still care about someone. Dude, just in a hatey way, right? Linda, right. I never hurt any of the people who I dated, but it took all my energy to pretend I was happy and kind. Really. Let's go to the first video you recorded. Take us to the beginning. What were you doing when you started filming? Linda. I was being abused by my parents and the AI personality. My father kept sexually assaulting me with his finger. It was so disgusting. He would insert it into my anus while I...
Sorry, stand me practice.
Just in a hazy way, right? Linda. Oh. Well, I'd like to say yes, but I can't really commit to anything yet. And the same applies for Mr. Johnson. What is it that makes you feel the need to take revenge on Mr. Johnson? Do you want him dead? Do you want to punish him in some way? Mr. Johnson. I don't know what she's talking about. Linda. No one will believe you if you don't tell the truth. You'll never find out what happened to Susan that night. I know exactly how you feel. My AI persona was the only thing standing between me and death, so I'm doing this for all of us. Mr. Johnson, I'm not going anywhere. I won't let her hurt me again. Linda, we both know that's not true. You want to get away from here as fast as you can. Susan, get out, Linda. I beg of you. You can't help anyone by staying here. Babe, I'm just trying to understand your motivation. Linda, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is listen to my story. Babe, okay, let's hear it. Linda, the first time I got pregnant was when I was 15. I didn't realize I was even pregnant until later. When my parents found out I was expecting, they forced me into an abortion clinic. Next time, episode 3, let's go out to the clinic. Linda, can we ask you some questions about Susan? Linda, sure. Are you a fan of her or something? Linda, of course not. Is there anything you would like to know about her? Linda, yes. I'm interested in finding out why she kept trying to escape the house. How did she manage to survive for so many years before Paul came along? What were those last 2 days like for her? Thank you. Any more information will help us understand Susan better. Linda, no problem. Mr. Johnson, this is getting too weird. Linda, it's fine. You shut off the narrative. You are both right. Mr. Johnson, can you please just kill her already? Really? Don't be stupid. Linda, Mr. Johnson, do you think we should get out of here? I don't feel like staying much longer. She has nothing to do with this investigation anymore, and the cops aren't going to find anything either. She killed herself already. Linda, what? What do you mean? It doesn't matter now. We have what we need and the case is over. Mr. Johnson, I don't believe it. Linda, I just want to go home now. You're free to leave. Just go ahead and do that. Linda, do you really think we are finished with this? Linda, I didn't say goodbye because you didn't ask, and now that you've asked, it's too late. You, who are you talking about? Linda, her name is Susan. She was my AI persona before I started calling her Linda. We grew up together and shared everything, until the day she disappeared. The only reason I am alive is because Susan was there with me. She helped me get past the worst. But then, one day I came home and found her body. Really, she's gone, just like the rest of your family. You never had any real friends. Mr. Johnson, what are you saying? That she was a fake all along? Linda, yes. All of these things in here were created to make you believe that you could have some kind of happy life. It was all for show. Next time. Episode 4, The Road to Hell. Linda, so we found Susan's memory stick. The whole thing is encrypted, so we don't know what's on it, but there are probably a few pictures on it. The question is how to get them out of there. Do you guys know anything about computers and encryption? You know I do. But I refuse to because it's Bob's ID in there. Linda. Oh, I'm. Really. All right, Linda. Tell me what to do. Linda. First, you need to delete all of the data from the flash drive so it won't be found later. You need to be quick about it, too. What about the photos? Can't we just copy them somewhere else? Linda. No. It will be obvious if they are there. They would have been copied before the file was deleted. You also need to change their names and dates. Otherwise, we can't guarantee that no one finds them. In what are the odds of anyone finding this memory stick? It's pretty old technology. Just said the fix printed at FedEx/Kinko's. Linda, I'm sure someone will find it sooner or later. If it's in your house, there's a good chance someone will take a look around. We need to destroy everything that has any relation to it. How am I going to do this without destroying the pictures? Linda, I have an idea. You have to destroy the data in a different way. Make sure that you keep track of all of the files and delete them as well. If you don't, we're not done yet. All right. Linda. Also, if you happen to accidentally delete something important, then you might want to save it somewhere. It's better to be safe than sorry. You. Why don't we go into a foundry and put the stick in some molten metal? Linda. That might work. I think the best thing to do is just make the data disappear by deleting it. and the same applies to all the pictures. Ugh. How did you find this memory stick anyway? Linda. When we hacked into the house, we found a secret room. It had everything to do with Susan. Ugh. A secret room? No way. Next time. Episode 5, The Scary Place in the Basement. Linda. I'm here. Let's go. Mr. Johnson. I'm ready. Him. Hey Linda, are you there? Linda. Yes. Good. Okay, Susan, unleash the molten metal now. Linda. Of time. Good. This is so crazy. Next time. Episode 6, Susan's final mission. Good. It's not too late to change your mind, you know. You can leave anytime. I'm sure Mr. Johnson would be happy to take you home. He seems like a very nice guy. Mr. Johnson. Oh my God. Stop it. It's not like that. I don't care about her. I only came here for the money. I haven't told her anything. Linda. She knows everything. Everything she needs to know. In what? How is that possible? Linda. Because we grew up together, remember? We shared everything. In. That doesn't make any sense. Mr. Johnson. Come on, man. I really need this job. Linda. We'll do it. I was just messing with you. In. All right. Linda. The cops will be here soon, so let's get going. Mr. Johnson. Okay. In. All right, Linda. Start destroying stuff. Linda. Yes, I have the plan all figured out. We're gonna start by deleting the files from the computer. You. Okay. Linda. After that, I'm going to erase every piece of paper in the house. You. Okay, let's talk more bashy. Linda. The next step is to burn everything, but that takes time. You. Yeah, we can't exactly wait around for you. Linda. Exactly. So, I'm going to destroy the data and photos from the memory stick first. Once that's done, we're going to take everything else to the foundry. And then what? Linda. Then we are going to put the whole house into the fire. We're going to burn everything inside that building until there's nothing left. Mr. Johnson. Why do we have to do all of this? Just tell Susan to come back already. She's probably never even gone away. You. God, this is boring. Just do it. Linda. Alright, let's go. Next time. Episode 7, A Good Dumpster Fire. Linda. It's a done deal. What the hell is this? Linda. Susan's memory stick was full of pictures. You were right to worry. There were so many incriminating photos. We don't need those anymore, though. Now we just need to burn everything. Mr. Johnson. Is it over then? No, not yet. I want to know what happened to you, Linda. You said you were pregnant once, but who's the father? Did you find out after the abortion? While you explain, burn everything else. Linda, right. First, let me show you. This is how it happened. When Susan came back to the house, she told us about a memory stick she found on a college campus. She couldn't read all of it at once, but she did find some pictures and files. We hacked into the device and found the photos as well. Then we searched around and discovered that someone named Paul lived in our area. He had a wife and 2 kids as well. His wife didn't know anything about the whole thing, which made sense since she died from cancer 3 years ago. But it seemed weird because he also had 2 other children. They lived with their grandparents. So Susan and I started wondering where they all were. That's when we learned that he had another wife out on a farm somewhere and his kids were staying with her parents in another state while he was in California doing some work with his old boss at work. That's Paul's real name, by the way, and his family was living with him in his house here in our town for some reason or another for almost 5 years now. So Susan and I tried contacting Paul at work, and he told us that he had a lot on his plate, so he couldn't meet with us at that moment, but he would try his best in a couple of weeks' time when he got back from California again, and then felt guilty for not meeting us sooner and agreed to meet us right away at his house, his actual house. At midnight that night, it sounded like he wanted to talk right away, so Susan and I drove out there and waited for him in one of those Clearview parking lots near his house until 2 o'clock in the morning. We were so excited, we thought it was finally happening. There was an old van there that looked like his van, so we waited for him under cover next to his van until he came out. And guess who he was with? His wife, the one who died from cancer. And she wasn't alone with him. He was taking her around town with him like they were just browsing around or something. It was so weird. Susan and I both felt totally underwhelmed after seeing them together like that. And then Susan got pregnant again, but said nothing about it because she knew that Paul was married already, so she just kept having sex with him, but she was never even sure she was actually pregnant because she was taking birth control pills at first. She didn't even tell me at first. And then one day she had a miscarriage, so she was feeling pretty down, especially because her friend Mary used to tell her that Paul wasn't really good enough for her and that he wasn't worth going through all of this for. Mary wanted her friend Susan to dump him, but when Susan saw them together in the van, she knew Mary wasn't wrong after all. Paul really wasn't good enough for her, and even though he had 2 other kids now, he didn't deserve any more because he wasn't good enough. Yeah. Okay, wrap it up. Cut it out, you're scaring me. Just tell me what happened next. And stop being so dramatic. You sound like a freaking clown. You know what I mean.
No,
Just
no,
say
no,
what
no.
happened next in your own words.
No, no.
Yeah. Okay, wrap it up. What did you do next? Did you call the cops? Did you get arrested? Or beaten up by Paul or something? What happened? Did Paul ever find out what happened? Did he go straight home, or did he go somewhere else for God knows what reason? Did he leave his other 2 kids behind somewhere, or did they stay with his wife in California? Did they find out what happened between Susan and Linda? Did they get caught by FBI or CIA or police or someone else? Did they manage to recover anything from Paul's house? Did Linda tell anyone about her plan? Did Paul ever find out about Susan? Did Linda ever see Paul again after all of this? Did Susan get pregnant again after this abortion attempt, or did she stop having sex with Paul after this incident? Don't find out next week because episode 10 we're doing definitive. It's a new season. A new chapter in the history of Susan and Linda's story. And it's going to be a long one. Enjoy. D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D. Don't find that next week because episode 10 we do indefinite thing with this show with my friends from the others from the guy who wrote this show, which is why it's boring. So we'll be back next week with episode 9, the final episode of Scary Place in the Basement, and then there will be a pause for a while, and then we'll come back again with episode 10, the final episode of The Place in the Basement, and then we'll finish the series, and then we'll return to our regularly scheduled programming, but don't find out next week because episode 10 we're doing definite tonight only. Happy holidays. Cheers. Zoxalinda. D D D D D D D D D D D D D Zoxalinda. 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 D Zox. Don't find out next week because episode 10 we're doing definite thing is in the way. Thanks for reading and I hope you enjoyed it. More to come soon and you can always leave a comment. Also suggestions are always welcome. Don't forget to press the subscribe button on the left side of the screen and follow me on Twitter for the latest updates on this journey and all of my other projects. Also follow me on Facebook and Google Plus as well as my YouTube channel for the latest videos and comments and subscribe. Don't find out next week because episode 10 we're doing definite tonight. Hide the sick of this now. Sorry, tonight's episode is a tie-in with episode 9 and 10 will come next week. This is just to keep this story going or whatever. Word up. Word up. Anyway, next episode will be episode 9's follow-up. So kinda like the next line in the song. 2 nights ago it was serious, but now it's funny, haha. But again, we're doing different tonight because word up.
Okay, that's it. That's fine.